will also try and connect with the management of NIIT Limited in just a bit. Let me just recap some of those numbers for you as we await the management joining us. Profit up by about 3.8%, coming in at 21.6 crores versus 20.8 crores. Net revenue up almost 10% at 300 crores versus 272 crores. EBITDA seeing a bump up of about 13% at 28.6 crores. And EBITDA margins at about 10% versus 9%. It's also acquired the business of EdTech startup Perception Learning Solutions. There's a big digital drive underway at NIIT Limited. So we'll get management's comments on that. In fact, joining us right now, Mr. P. Rajendran. He's a joint MD at NIIT. Mr. Rajendran, thank you for speaking to us at BTVi. Just run us through the highlights of the quarter. Has it met your expectations? And is this the kind of run rate that should continue going forward as well for the rest of FY17?
Yeah, I think you have given those few highlights when we started. So we had a 10% growth, and significance for us on this 10% growth year on year is that it's been quite many quarters that we have seen single-digit growth. So that's a very significant part. And also, when it comes to EBITDA, the 13% growth in EBITDA is again a good news. So overall, the quarter has run to the numbers that we had planned at the beginning of the year. The real focus of the quarter has been in the initiative of the digital transformation, because that is the new look of NIIT which we have been working for over the last 2 years, starting from restructuring, renewal, and re-energizing. So in that space comes the point which you mentioned, that is we got a board advisor, Barry Libert, to do two things. One is to for the digital transformation of our businesses on one side, and then also the company and the way we deliver our products and services. So the way we look at digital transformation is that we have three levels. If you look at a company which is doing the digital work, so there is the digital leaders at the top, then there is the digital innovators, and then the digital developers. Last 3 quarters we have been engaged in creating, delivering, taking feedback, and expanding the 2 new products which we had added. One is the Stack Route. Stack Route is targeted at the digital innovators, working with corporates, and we've got 2 large corporates who are closely working with us in terms of changing the way their developers are doing things, which means new skills. Then comes the DigiNext, which is targeted towards the developers. The first one was the innovators and developers, and this is purely the developers, which goes through our B2C channel, changing the earlier curriculum from the old IT part. So that's and now Barry, what we expect Barry to bring in is the top part, which is the digital leaders. What it means is engaging with organizations and creating curriculum as well as a little bit of consulting on giving them a path of how they will embrace the digital technologies, companies at large. In the corporate learning group, which is largely addressing the US and UK markets, our EBITDA has been steady at 12%. We had very good growth, 23% growth. In real term, in volume terms, with constant currency, it would have been 28%. However, that is mainly because of a good spike in one of the deliveries, so we can expect the 23%, the normal 15 to 20% as we go forward. The skills and career business, which is really the B2C part of NIIT, we saw a much better operating margin EBITDA at 9%, which is almost kissing the 10% point which we have been wanting to. And like I mentioned, the DigiNext, the banking and the management programs have really done very well during this quarter. In the schools business, we added 103 schools, and it's done 21.6 crores, and it's going steady. The government schools business, we have already mentioned that we are scaling that down, and we have 3 projects still running, and one of the projects has just got over. So schools business is largely now private school education with products in the math lab, the digital content, and the school management systems continuing to gain momentum. So as far as the digital transformation part is concerned, apart from the digital leader program which I said, you also mentioned about the acquisition of Perceptron, a Bangalore-based company. What it brings to us is digital assets and also some outstanding individuals who have been in touch with us, and we have worked together over the last 1 year. And that will drive the stack route, which is the digital innovator part for corporates. One more point I want to mention is the multimodal delivery system, our platform, which has been announced, which is the training.com. And what we expect is to deliver training through this training.com directly into devices in the hands of the consumer. And this is really targeted at the working professionals. And through this, we also have delivery of the edX courses, which we tied up a couple of quarters back. And edX, as you know, works with many types of universities, including MIT, University of Berkeley, University of California. So that starts becoming a very significant part of the training.com. In the emerging economies, we opened a large center, actually working with the local college, which is the Tongren Polytechnic College in China. We signed up in Vietnam, Kenya, and Bangladesh. So these are taking our B2C, including the DigiNext, into these emerging countries. Last one, of course, that we opened a development center in Ireland, which is basically facing the continent as well as the US in terms of delivering the managed services under the CLG business.
Okay, Mr. Rajendran, thank you for having taken us through that extensive conversation about how the company is doing and what you're doing differently. Just a very quick point from you in terms of your debt reduction. You have reduced quite a lot of that this quarter. Are you comfortable now, or are you going to be seeing more of it happening?
So we're comfortable in the sense that some of these are payments. Some of these are because of good cash inflows, payments from government schools projects, which have been stuck for time, and that has been because of the center, state, funds transfer, etc. Now that has got released, and that has been a relief. And we would expect that at least in the next 2 quarters, we should see more of the stuck-up bills receivables coming through.
Yeah, just a word on your acquisition as well. The street has been waiting to hear the kind of consideration that you bought it for, the timeline that you're working with over there, and possibly going forward, how much it will contribute to your performance. If you could just shed some light on that.
So I think we had a earlier press release on the consideration, so I'm not able to recollect, but it's a small acquisition. This acquisition is not so much to add revenues or EBITDA into the company, but it's really to bring in high technology professionals and asset into the company, aligned to a digital transformation. And I spoke about the stack route, and that is something which we have worked together with these people when they were outside the company, and we figured out that together we can take this places, and that's how this happened. And so what we can expect is the stack route product, which is basically for corporates when they're doing massive changes within their technology professionals. We can see more customers getting added thanks to this alliance and the acquisition.
Mr. Rajendran, in fact, that was just what I was going to ask you, because you're working closely with these corporates as well and other players who are transforming themselves through technology. But is there anything you really see changing on the ground? You know, what are some of the key challenges that they try to struggle with?
So in one sense, it reminds me of the 1980s when we started NIIT, when we used to go and tell the leaders and also the developers and also the company itself on how IT will make the difference. And at that time, it was all about, you know, IT equal to accounting. So we are really seeing that type of a possible disruption happening now, which happened in the 80s with IT. Now, in terms of other technologies like data analytics, robots, and Internet of Things, all coming in this larger box or ball called digital. So today when we ask, let's say we walk into a board and talk to them about digital, obviously they will be talking about using mobile phones and using their laptops, surely. But I think to take the next step and to look for opportunities in increasing the value to the customer, increasing the margins for the company, and also the efficiency of the service production or the manufacturing production units. I think that is where digital is going to play a big role. In fact, right now, just like the IT those days, if you ask any one person, define for me what is digital, how is the company today, and how will it look 5 years from now, not many people will be able to answer. Because people will be able to answer where we are today and what's our dream in terms of going forward. And that is the opportunity of digital, because on one side, we all know how to take the first few steps. But on the other side, the dream is so big that the opportunity is huge.
All right, Mr. Rajendran, thank you so much. That's a joint MD, NIIT, speaking to us. It's been such a pleasure having you right here on the show. I'm afraid we're completely out of time on the show at the moment.